Okay. Done.
Zoom will be recording the video, but it's basically just going to be an audio podcast, so don't worry too much.
Okay.
And I'm recording me. Okay, let's give it a go. I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Pokémon Legends Arceus. And today I'm joined by some wonderful guests who may or may not also love Pokémon Legends Arceus. First of all, I've got Kate Gray. Hello.
Hello. I was going to say I also love Pokemon, but maybe my feelings are more middling. We'll see.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to be coy about it. You can just say your feelings. It's fine.
Oh, well, I didn't want to spoil it.
So, Kate, first, please tell us a little about you. I first became aware of you through Official Nintendo Magazine. I was the guy sending you in weird competition entries on the podcast. I have met you twice at like Midnight Resistance events, but I was always shy about meeting a bunch of new people.
That's where it was.
I was always shy about meeting a bunch of people I only know off the internet. So I would get super drunk. So I've only met you off my face.
Except now, because it's like 7 a.m.
Yeah. No,
I presume you haven't had time.
I also haven't really drunk in like 3 years at this point.
Yeah. Well, hi. Yes, I used to work at Official Nintendo Magazine, and now I write for Nintendo Life and a bunch of other places on the side, but that's my day job. So obviously played a lot of Nintendo games, although apparently not enough because people are constantly yelling at me for having only ever played like one Kirby game.
I think I've never finished a Kirby game, and I'm drinking out of a Kirby mug right now.
Oh, you're a fake Kirby gamer, if that's the thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just think he's cute.
He is cute, and the games are a little too easy, so there's no real challenge. But I want to play the new one, but that's not why I'm here. No. Off topic.
Okay, so what is your history with Pokemon? I think we're pretty close in age, so you probably would have got in around the same time as me. Because I jumped right in on Pokemon Blue.
Yeah, see, I didn't.
Okay.
I actually got Pokemon Gold.
Okay.
I didn't have... I didn't really have any time with Red or Blue or Yellow or Green.
It would have been very impressive if you'd played Green back in the 90s.
Yeah, that was a remake. I'm already sounding like I don't know what I'm talking about. So my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Gold. It is one of my all-time favorites. I was very, very attached to my Pokemon, although I only remember one of them, which was Chicky, my Chikorita, my starter, eventually a Meganium, Meganium. Who knows? Probably
How do you
someone.
say the flower? It's Megania, right? The flower.
I didn't know it was named after a flower.
So I think it would be
okay.
Meganium.
Okay. So yeah, Chicky, beautiful Chicky, that I raised to a level 70. Absolutely garbage stats, but you know, I was a child, it doesn't count. And then I played basically every Pokemon game, and usually my brother would get the other one until we were both too old to play Pokemon, in which case I would get one and he wouldn't get the other. He'd moved on to Call of Duty by that time. I've played almost all of them except Black and White 2 and some of the remakes. I didn't play Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl because I didn't like Diamond and Pearl, so why would I play it again? And I never finished X and Y because it got really weird. Was it X and Y? No, yes?
X and Y is the one where at the end you're like there's a giant crystal laser coming out of a megalith or something. So yeah, it does get pretty weird. Okay, yeah. See, I think of myself as like
and
a Pokemon.
Sun and Moon. I didn't finish that.
I think of myself as like a Pokemon super fan, but I only played like one from each generation. I don't go back and play Emerald and Ultra Sun, and but I think I have finished them all multiple times.
Okay, that's good. That's more than I've done for some of them because I sort of lose momentum towards the end. Like there's a point around your Pokemon getting to like level 60 or 70 that you're like, ugh, you know? And then there's a bunch of post-game content, which sometimes is great. Like, I think it was Gold and Silver that was like, now you have a whole new country. And you're like, what? But the later games, I just kind of burned out a little bit, where it's like, catch them all. And I'm like, no, I don't want to.
When I was a kid, I would like do everything in a Pokemon game because I was obsessed. And, you know, when you're a kid, you can only buy a game at like Christmas and birthday. So you have to rinse them.
Yeah.
Then sort of in my teens and 20s, I'd buy one, finish the story, that would be it. And in the last few years, I've gone back the other way. And now I feel like I have to always have a Pokemon game on the go. So I've gotten a bit more into collecting. And I think because back in the day, I would have thought, filling out the Pokedex is boring. But now I'm like, I kind of want something easy and boring to do.
Interesting. I've mostly been collect the ones that I think are cute and give them stupid names, and then see if I can beat the Elite Four just by like sheer willpower. Like, my Pokemon are all just hot trash, but they're so cute. They're like round.
I've always been I just want to play it with the Pokemon I like player, which is why I've never done any competitive. I hate the idea that like, oh, there's only 8 viable Pokemon, pick from those.
Yeah, none of them are cute. They're all like, they look like houses with faces. I'm not interested. No thanks.
Some of the ones I like probably you would consider houses with faces, but they're all cute in their own way.
Well, which ones?
I got to think now. Why did I say that? I put myself on the spot. Actually, I do like some of those weird Ultra Beasts, and one of them, Stakataka, is literally a house.
Interesting.
But I like them for their weirdness.
Yeah. I have to look them up every time. I didn't get to the point in Sun and Moon, I think, where the Ultra Beasts come out. So it just never, like, I don't know any of them. And I stopped when it was getting weird, though. Like in Sun and Moon, there was maybe a lady who was like, I'm going to take over the world, you know, standard Pokemon stuff. And I was like, and then the Ultra Beast came after that. So it's only like relatively recently that I've been like, who is that? And it's always an Ultra Beast. Every single time it's one of the like surprising number of Ultra Beasts that there are. They're very cool designs. They're very weird designs.
Yeah.
There's like a clown one.
Yeah, there's a clown one. There's like a Christmas tree lights one.
Yeah.
The advantage I have
Baffling.
in terms of...
It's like they saw Deoxys, if that's how you say it.
Yeah. Because I work with like Japanese children every day, I have no choice but to know all the Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I have to know all their names twice.
Oh, right, because they've got different names. Yeah.
Most of them,
I recently learned Pochama, which is Piplup. Because for some reason, Japan's been going on a major Piplup kick. Like, they've been releasing merchandise, they've been making videos, and they're all about Pochama, which is Piplup. You know this.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. At the end of last year,
so, I'm like, why is he saying Pochama?
I could walk into a convenience store and they'd be like, Piplup ice cream, Piplup candy, Piplup cakes, Piplup toy, Piplup everything. Yeah. They know how to market a new game. They know which Pokemon to choose.
Yeah.
So, were you of the opinion that Pokemon was getting stale as we were getting through the generations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like post Black and White. Maybe because of also how old I was. I wasn't really like the Pokemon target market, and I'd played so many of them by this point that I was like, oh, it's this again. And I sort of fell off it there. I got back into it with Sword and Shield. I was pretty impressed with that game. I know a lot of people weren't, but it's a good game. And also it's set in fantasy England, which is a reason to like it for me. But like Brilliant Diamond and Pearl seem to be drifting back into the direction of like, oh, is this again? So Pokemon Legends Arceus was very I wasn't interested in it up until about 3 days before the release. I was like,
Okay.
I'm not really going to play Pokemon again. I think I'm done with it. I think I don't know, grown out of it or just grown uninterested in it. And that was kind of sad.
Okay. See, I was still very much enjoying. I loved Sword and Shield. And in Sword and Shield, I could see ways they were trying to do something different.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see the argument that people were saying, like, oh, it's the same game every time. Because it kind of was.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I saw the first trailer for Arceus, I was 100% on board. For starters, I'm a big nerd for Japanese history. So seeing one set in like Edo period colonization of Hokkaido was up my street. But I could see that it was trying to be a little bit different. And I wanted to give it a go. So I was pretty excited for this game. And I saw the first 2-3 trailers and then complete blackout. I didn't want to see anything. I just wanted to get the game and give it a go. So by the time I sat down and played it, I was well up for it. So what made you change your mind? Was it just that you got offered to review or?
No.
Okay.
Luckily, I didn't review it because
okay.
I probably would have gone into it thinking, nah, this game's trash. No, one of my not co-workers because he's a freelancer, but like acquaintance friends. I don't fellow journalists was reviewing it for us, and I hope this doesn't get me assassinated by Nintendo, but I did see the review drop into our back end, a few days before embargo, and I was like, what if I read it? I didn't tell anyone what it said, obviously. It didn't break any embargoes, but I did read it. That is one of the privileges of journalism, is that I get to read early reviews sometimes. And it was glowing. So I reached out to him and I was like, is it actually good? And he was like, oh, it's brilliant. And I was like, are you just saying that because you like Pokemon? And he was like, no, it's really good. And I was like, all right, well, I don't have any games to play. Well, I have my huge Steam backlog, but on Switch, I'm not really playing anything right now. So yeah, maybe I'll get in. Like sometimes it's fun to get in when a game comes out and you're like, sharing things on Twitter and you feel like part of the zeitgeist. So I kind of wanted to be involved with that for once of a Pokemon game. Like it's been a while, like Sword and Shield, sure, but that's not the same really. I don't know. So yeah, I pre-ordered it. I bought those Nintendo game vouchers. I haven't done those before because this is going to make me sound like a fake gamer, but I don't tend to buy Nintendo's like huge AAA first party titles. I'm more of an indie game person in general. So the game vouchers didn't really appeal to me, but I was like, oh, I can use this to buy the Pokemon game. And I spent the other one on Rune Factory 5, I think. I've said that and now I'm not sure. No, I don't think I did. I think that's a lie.
Okay.
Okay, so I still have one. But anyway, I bought Pokemon. And it was also because work was like, well, this game, if the review is good, other outlets are going to also review it well. And that means that we're going to have to start making content about it, making guides, making like features, all that kind of stuff. So it would really help to have all the writers playing it. So I was like, all right, I guess that's an extra reason for me to buy it and play it. And then I did.
Okay. So I've heard a lot of people saying that the game opens really slow.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily notice that, but I started playing it at 5 a.m. so I could stream it. And I was just excited. So my brain was not functioning during the first 2 hours. How did you find the opening?
I also started it early. I have a UK eShop account. And I'm currently 4 hours behind the UK. So that means I can download games at what is 8 p.m. my time, which is a pretty sensible time for starting a game, as opposed to like midnight where it is for everyone else. So yeah, it was just like beep, boop, boop, boop. And, it started great. I got to hang out with Rowlet. He's one of my favorite Pokemon. I love him. So that was fine. I was taking screenshots of this like weird new Pokemon game. And there's a lot of talking at the start. And also, for some reason, I was playing it docked, so it was on the TV. For some reason, I don't know if I just had high anxiety that day, but there's this drum noise that plays during the dialogue, especially in the start, and it's very sudden and loud. And so I had to stop playing it like an hour and a half in because I kept being like, ah. So I didn't particularly notice that it was slow. I mostly just noticed that it was really unusual. It's like seeing something that you recognize intensely, something like Pokemon, popping up in like The Witcher, being like, well, this is weird, but cool. So yeah, I didn't know that people thought it was a slow opening. I'm surprised.
I feel like people say that about all the Pokemon games, though. I don't think this one was especially slow. I wonder if it would have felt less slow and talky if they had voice acting.
Yeah.
This game does have a lot of long cutscenes of just text boxes.
Even just flapping. Like Phoenix Wright has the sort of like beep, 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 when people are talking, and that adds a lot, surprisingly. Like those games are never going to be voice acted, but well, maybe someday, maybe. But you know, just the beep 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 is like part of the character of the series, and it actually does convey a lot of like sentence structure in a weird way. So even just like a text beep would have been super nice to have. I don't know why they didn't add it.
Or they could do that JRPG thing where every character just has 5 noises.
Oh, no.
Not a fan of that one.
No, I don't play like a super lot of JRPGs. I promise I do play games. I'm just honest about the ones I don't play because I don't want to lie. I played Ni no Kuni that has that. Ni no Kuni 2 specifically is the one that was really bad, where everyone's just constantly going, oh, aha. Like, that doesn't even match what you're saying. Stop it.
I also don't really play RPGs, so that's my impression too.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was looking at Pokemon Let's Go a few years back and thinking like, oh, I kind of like this catching mechanic, but I hope there's some battling as well in the next one. And I feel like we finally, with this game, got both those systems kind of combined. So how did you find like actually playing this game? Like the moment to moment stuff?
So I think the thing that stands out most for me in terms of the Poke Leg Arc gameplay, that's what me and my friends are calling it. It's very cool. You can adopt that if you like. Is that it's very, I don't know if I know the word for it. It's sort of turn your brain off gaming. And I've talked about this with people before, and I've written things about it on Nintendo Life, and the comments hate it. They hate me saying that a game doesn't involve critical thinking. They're like, that's bad. Actually, no, it's not. I play games for a living. I want to turn my brain off sometimes. I'm very stressed a lot of the time. Sometimes I just want a game like Stardew Valley where I just go, I'm collecting turnips. There aren't any turnips in Stardew Valley. Parsnips, that's the starting crop. And it's just mindless. You can just do it for hours at a time, and you're having fun and you're making progress, but you're not making decisions, not really. And that's kind of what Pokemon Legends does too, in that catching Pokemon is so easy and so fast. I don't have to be like buttoning through all the dialogue where they're like, you encountered a wild Pokemon, it attacked. You're like, yeah, I know, it does that every time. It does away with all of that. I can move during battles. I don't have to stand there and be like, oh, hurry up. I'm just like, la, 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 la. Sometimes I'm like standing next to the Pokemon I'm fighting, just being like, what you gonna do? I'm gonna catch you. And occasionally all I will do is like creep around in the grass and just throw Pokeballs at everything I see. And like 7 or 8 times out of 10, I catch them. So it's just like, to fill out the Pokedex, it's easiest to catch a bunch of Pokemon a bunch of times. So like, I'll just crawl around an area for like an hour and catch a bunch of like wormples or whatever. And I'm like, technically this is progress. And that feels really good. And then when I need something a little more interesting, I can go back to the plot and be like, yes, very important. There's a space-time rift. Very, very interesting. Well, scary. And then, yeah, those are my two modes of gameplay.
Yeah, I think I was kind of the same. Obviously, before this game came out, everyone was comparing it to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I don't think it's got that much Breath of the Wild in it.
No.
But what it does have, which Breath of the Wild also had, is I want to do absolutely everything except what I'm being told to do.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the map like, I want to go over there. I want to go over there. I want to go over there. I don't want to talk to you. I want to go over there.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Actually, the game it reminds me most of is Dragon Age Inquisition, which sounds stupid, but it also has these closed off areas that you adventure until you get bored, and then you go back to the main hub, and then you go to a different area. It's also got a bunch of like foraging collectibles all over the map, so you're just picking up all these different herbs, and then you craft them into something cool. And it also has like big scary monsters that are always in one area of the map, and you can go and fight them whenever you feel like it. It's kind of like the alphas. Okay. So yeah, it's basically Dragon Age.
I've only played the first Dragon Age.
I've only played Inquisition. So.
Okay. And never the twain shall meet.
No.
What I really like in terms of the battling and catching is it's the first Pokemon game where I feel like everything is in one place, in one game. All the previous Pokemon games, there's me walking around in the overworld, and there's the weird dimension where the Pokemon battle.
Yeah.
But it felt so separate. Even in like Let's Go and Sword and Shield, where sometimes Pokemon were in the overworld, you touch them and then get transported to this different game where you battle and catch. Whereas in this one, like, because even for a simpler reason, is because the camera doesn't really cut. It felt like what was happening when I had a Pokemon battle was still in the same game I was playing. And I felt much more connected to the wild Pokemon, to my Pokemon, my avatar. It all felt like I was in one contiguous world.
Yeah.
And I felt like that made a huge difference to my immersion and to my just feeling connected to the game.
Yeah. I like the fact that you can just throw the Pokemon out and they all hang out together. I think that's really cute. I would have loved to have like a Pokemon camp style thing. It's had a bunch of different names across the Pokemon series, but I think in Sword and Shield it was called Pokemon Camp.
Yeah, I think so.
Something a little more interactive than that, even, where I'm actually hanging out with the Pokemon and I like pat them on the head and feed them berries, would be really nice. Like, I can feed berries to wild Pokemon, but I can't feed berries to my Pokemon. That's not fair.
Did you try?
Wait, can I?
I don't know.
Oh no, I haven't tried.
If my game's on, I'm going to try right now.
I feel like you can't. I feel like there would be no reason for that to be possible.
Yeah, you can send them out and they'll hang around and go to sleep and you can talk to them.
Yeah.
And presumably you can still put berries down. I'm going to try it like right now.
Yeah, do it. I want to know.
Okay.
I want to know if I've been missing out this very important thing in the game.
First I got to find a berry.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to have to edit around this. Yeah, I've got a berry. I've got Kit Katsune, the that's my Zorak.
Oh, that's a good name. I like that.
No, he's just lurking over this berry.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing. Okay,
yeah,
so you can't do it.
I thought we had something there. I thought we had breaking news.
Hot scoop.
No, unfortunately, you can't feed your own Pokemon. At least not in the village.
Yeah.
I don't have time to experiment if I can go and do it in a field.
Oh.
Yeah, Pokemon has this really annoying habit of introducing a nice feature and then for no reason dropping it in the next game.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're throwing things at the wall to see if they stick and then forgetting to check the wall, just like walking away from it and being like, I don't know, let's try something new. Let's try a different wall. And you're like, well, what was the point then? Like, why did you introduce Pokemon contests and then get rid of them? Why did you introduce being able to pet Pokemon and then now I can't do that again? Why did you introduce partner Pokemon and promise me that I can hang out with my Pokemon and then take it away from me? That's so mean.
Because we've seen how good they are at making walk cycles in 3D.
Yeah.
But I do love follow Pokemon. And I don't mind if sometimes they just hover in the air behind me because I'm on stairs.
Yeah, that's okay. I would be fine with it. Like, I guess it would be difficult to do in Pokemon Legends because like there's hills and there's cliffs and everything. But like maybe as soon as I get on a mount Pokemon, the partner Pokemon could just disappear. That's fine. I don't care. Just let me walk around with them sometimes.
Yeah, in Sword and Shield and in Brilliant Diamond, they disappear every 5 minutes anyway. So,
smart.
Yeah. So, how did you rate the story in this game?
I'm going to be honest. I have paid very little attention to it because I'm like having fun in the overworld, and then I'll bump into the story, and they'll be like, "You have to help us. A very tall Pokemon is angry," and I'm like, "Okay," and they're like, "And you have to do it for some reason," because like there is a little bit of that like foreigner helps natives narrative where it's like you land and everyone's like, "You're so good at Pokemon. We're really bad at Pokemon, and every single person in this world has only ever been able to catch one at a time," and you're like, why? They're very easy to catch. Like the first area, the Bidoofs literally walk up to you and they're like, "Catch me." So like what, you could have a whole team of Bidoofs even and you'd be the most powerful person in the village. But then like it goes off the rails from there. There's a bunch of people that are constantly like, "You have to help us." Like, help yourselves. I'm just hanging out with like Rowlet. Why do you need my help?
So you mentioned the whole like the foreigner saving the day thing.
Yeah.
When I saw the first trailer for this game, I was quite concerned. So Hokkaido has only been part of Japan for like 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, it was inhabited by a native people, the Ainu people. And until pretty recently, Japan's history basically erases them.
Yeah.
And like in Okami, which is one of my favorite games, you get to Hokkaido and it's just inhabited by demons. There's no people.
Oh no.
Yeah. And that's how a lot of like ancient Japanese mythology talked about these other races. And the first trailer, it's like when the Sinnoh region was only populated by Pokemon. And I was like, oh no, are they saying there were no native people? But then actually there is the Diamond and Pearl clan.
Yeah,
and
but
I
like
think
they're
meant to
live in
represent
tents.
The Ainu.
Like,
that is what I think the Ainu pretty much did. They were quite nomadic people.
Okay. Because like it's interesting that you've brought up the history angle, because I wrote a piece the other day that was about it was a sort of like naive take on like a few games recently. I say a few. It's basically been the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles and Pokemon Legends have been set during like a Japanese historical era that I didn't know much about. Chronicles is set during the Meiji era.
Yeah.
But like a slightly fictionalized one. And this one is like a fully fictionalized version of, did you say it was the Edo area?
It's somewhere around Edo or Meiji, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been learning a lot about it, and I was like, wow, it's so cool to learn about Japanese history. And I did some research into it, and I was like, oh no. Because like mostly games tend to be focused on North American and European stories. And even then they sort of gloss over all the colonization that happens. And you know, the similar era in England at least is the Industrial Revolution, and like the British Empire and Queen Victoria and all of that. Very, very colonial era in England's history. And so usually when you talk about like colonization in that particular period of history, it's like England, but of course it was going on elsewhere. And the problem is that these games don't tell you that. Why would they tell you that? But I do wonder what it's like for Japanese players who are aware of this history playing Pokemon Legends and being able to fill in the gaps and have that like cultural context that I don't have.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, officially their theme was history. So I think it makes a lot of sense. This is the one where they tried going back in time. I mean, it's not that true to the real version of this part of history.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there was a lot more killing going on.
Yeah.
But this is around the time where Japan started opening itself up to the rest of the world a little bit, which is why you've got the headquarters is a big Western style building.
Yeah.
And in the, I had a point and I've forgotten it. Can't have been that important. All right. So you're talking about like colonization. Yeah. Japan gets demonized quite a lot for engaging in colonization. But basically what happened was America and Europe turned up at their doorstep and they were like, well, we can either be colonized or become colonizers.
Right. And like making friends with a bully.
Yeah. But they're one of the only countries that when imperialism turned up at their door were like, okay, we'll just join in.
Ugh.
So now they get like people try to gloss over the fact that England started it and Japan just joined in. And it's like, oh, how dare Japan do these terrible things that we taught them to do and told them was the only way to be a modern nation.
I definitely get that sense from the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is framed as these relatively young Japanese lawyers being like, let's go to England. And like in their country, they're new at law, so they're not very good at it. And then they come to England where like the legal system is confusing and pointless and weird. And they're trying to navigate it. And everyone in England is so patronizing all the time. But it's kind of framed as the Japanese lawyers being like, wow, it's so cool here. Very much like wanting to adopt the way the English do it, even as it's also saying the way the English do it is bad. But it's weird coming to it from like an outsider perspective. Outsider here meaning I'm British. So like the British perspective, I'm like, oh yeah, the Victorian era. I know lots about that. That's pretty much all we study in history at school. But it's framed from the Japanese perspective, which I don't know anything about. So it's kind of weird. You're like on the outside and the inside and the outside again. Does that make sense?
No. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, because I'm one case away from finishing the first of the Great Ace Attorney games, so I've got a lot more to play. But
yeah, wait, the first as in like the first.
The first of the two Great Ace Attorneys.
Okay, right. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I've played that series to death. Don't worry.
It's a long game. I've still not finished it.
Right. Well, it feels like the cases are very long.
They are, yeah. It's weird because it is kind of a visual novel, kind of an adventure game, but it's mostly text and visuals. So if they get more budget to make a bigger game, basically all they can do is just add more words. They're just going to keep getting longer.
That's why I still kind of think the original trilogy are the best because of their limitations.
Interesting.
Okay. We're very off topic.
Sorry.
It's fine.
It's still video games.
Yeah, it's related. Fine. It'll do. Okay, I don't want to do it, but we've got to do it. How does this game look?
It's not good. I think that the character models are really quite nice. They've taken a lot of cues from, Sword and Shield, the more 3D Pokemon offerings. And then everything else is kind of bad. The textures are very low quality. The draw distance, super bad. The shadows are distracting and kind of terrible. But my pet theory is that basically, I don't even know who would do it, but like some high up executive at Nintendo or Game Freak was like, listen, mates, we're going to try something new. This is what they sound like. Game Freak, the Japanese company, they all sound like London boys. Right, listen up, mates. We're going to try something new, but your budget is 10 yen, I guess. That's not a lot, is it?
That's like
It's like
8p.
right, 10 million yen. Uh, and you have 2 years, go. And so they had to cut a bunch of corners. In my theory, they had to cut a bunch of corners. And the task was prove that you can do it with a low budget, and we'll give you more budget for the next game. That is my theory. So if the next one isn't gorgeous, I'm going to be really disappointed.
So I'll get onto the graphics in a second, but I have my own theory about how this game came about.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was our Diamond and Pearl remake.
Interesting.
It's set in the same region. It does a bunch of the same stuff. Like there's a side quest to get Spiritomb.
The sea legend guy? Oh no, Spiritomb. Yeah, that too.
There's a bunch of the same legendaries, similar characters, basically doing the same events. And I think they got partway through development and are like, oh, this is too different. Because apparently when Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out, Japanese fans hated it because it didn't look like the game it was remaking.
Okay, so they made a really safe Diamond and Pearl
So
remake.
I think they were making this and they were like, we can't release this as our only remake. People are going to be annoyed. So that's because the Diamond and Pearl remake is a different company.
Yeah.
They contract. So I think they were just like, okay, get someone to bash one of these out just to shut people up.
Yeah. And people still hated the chibi look, didn't they? So
they did in the West. I don't know how people reacted in Japan.
Okay.
I didn't encounter anyone hating it, but also my reading is not good enough to be on forums and stuff. So let me tell you, Japanese is real hard to read.
Oh yeah, I figured. I did ancient Greek and that was hard enough, and half of those letters look like the letters they're supposed to be. So
yeah, I can just about do. There's the hiragana and the katakana, which is the phonetic one, but then there's all the kanji where there's just like a different letter for every word.
Yeah.
And I teach high school students. They're like, oh yeah, I'm still learning to read Japanese.
Oh my God.
It's like, yeah, I could read basically anything ever written in English when I was 5.
Yeah.
I might not have understood it, but I could read it.
Oh.
But yeah, so that's my theory, is that the reason this is maybe feels a little rushed in places is because it was an experiment that got out of hand when they were trying to remake Diamond and Pearl.
That's a good theory. I like that.
I also don't think this game is as huge a departure as some people are making out. They started experimenting with the catching already back in Let's Go. They started experimenting with 3D worlds in Sword and Shield, and especially in the DLC. So I think this is just the next logical step from that.
It's a big step, but
it is.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But it's not completely out of left field.
Yeah.
As much as people make out.
We're used to Game Freak, at least in terms of their Pokemon games, just really not taking that many risks. Like they'll take a risk with maybe the setting or like the post-game content, but in terms of the actual like A to B plot, it's usually pretty safe.
Yeah. But in terms of the graphics, I like it. Yeah. Like I can see like, okay, some of these textures are bad or whatever, but when I'm playing the game, particularly if I get like a nice skybox and something silhouetted in front of it, I think it does kind of look like a nice old wood print. Yeah.
I feel the same way. I don't have the vocabulary for like knowing about Japanese art, but I do think that it's going for like a really pared down version of what Okami managed. I just wish they'd leaned way harder into the stylistic aspect. Like just make it look really, really like a painting instead of this kind of halfway between like realism and painterly visuals, because that's part of the reason it sort of looks a bit like flat a lot of the time.
That's definitely, I think they couldn't quite decide what art style it was. I would have loved it if it had fully looked like a painting, like you say. Especially because the Switch can't really do photoreal, especially not in a world this big.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this is quote unquote bad, but I love the fact that once you get the bird, you can basically go faster than the game can load.
Yeah.
But I kind of appreciate that they're just like, oh, we don't care, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean that's why my theory, I think, maybe is at least partially correct, that they were like, the fun is what you should nail. If you can only, that like triangle where it's like you can do something fast, well, or cheap.
Right.
And they had to be cheap, so they could either do it fast or do it well. And they tried to sort of get an in between.
Yeah.
And so we've ended up with a game that was made relatively quickly. And it's maybe not the prettiest game, but they tried to focus on the fun. I think they nailed the fun. So, hopefully this is just the start of a series that can really go places, prettier places.
I know the internet likes to be like, oh, well, Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise.
Yeah.
But Game Freak started out as I think 4 guys working after school to make Pokemon Blue.
Yeah.
And it's always going to have a bit of that indie sensibility. And Pokemon would be ruined if they lost that. So sure, they could hire 1,000 people and turn it into Call of Duty, but it wouldn't be Pokemon anymore.
No, it's funny that you say that they've got this indie feel, because it was announced today. I don't know when this podcast will come out, but today is Wednesday, the 16th of February, and it was announced.
Actually,
today,
it's Thursday, the 17th for me.
For you, it was announced today that the 3DS eShop is going to be properly closing down in a year, I think. Yeah, March 2023. That's a year-ish. Yeah. And so we suddenly had to be like, here's all the really good eShop exclusives that you should download. And so many of them, well, like 2 of them, are Game Freak's weird, like, we let you out of the Pokemon cage for 2 years to make something weird, and then you have to get back in the Pokemon cage. So Harmonite and Pocket Card Jockey, which have nothing in common with each other, are both really indie-seeming games that aren't really indie.
Right.
And so I wish they'd harness more of that weirdness for the Pokemon games. Like Pocket Card Jockey is incredible. It's weird, but it's incredible. And
there's a fair bit of weird manages to sneak in, considering how big Pokemon is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty, like we were talking about the Ultra Beasts earlier.
That's true. Yeah.
When you've got like a weird clown man and a big brick monster.
Yeah.
In a parallel dimension.
Yeah.
That you visit in a story about an abusive mother. Like, it's a bit different than what you get from most Nintendo.
Yeah. Also the curry and Sword and Shield, and like the gigantic Pokemon that turn into different things. That's all pretty weird. Yeah.
It was a weird experience for me leaving the UK and moving to Japan just as Pokemon made a UK game.
Oh, yeah.
But it was great because it was about a year after I'd been here, just when I was nostalgic for home, I could go and visit Pokemon Bath and Pokemon London. So that was
Pokemon Birmingham, which is what everybody wants. It was fun. Like I also moved away from England in 2017. I forget when Sword and Shield came out, but it was like a couple of years after that, maybe
2018. Yeah,
2018. Yeah.
Wait,
and the towns are
2019. You are right.
Yeah. Oh, it's all blurred together, honestly.
The last 3 years are just 1 year, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. But like the towns in Sword and Shield are like so recognizable. And like I was showing them to my Canadian partner and being like, I lived there. And he's like, no, you didn't. That's a made up Pokemon town. I'd be like, you don't understand.
Yeah, they are pretty good at capturing the feel of a place. Admittedly, the sort of touristy postcard version, but
yeah. And there's a lot more animals and a lot fewer pigeons.
They did make the evil team basically football hooligans, so that was good.
Just like England, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So going forward, should Pokemon just be this?
Oh, that's a hard question. I don't think it will be, because I don't think that's what people want. I think there are definitely some people that want competitive JRPG style turn-based battles with menus. And that's fine. It's fine to want that. And linear stories and gyms. And, like part of me wants some of that as well. I don't always want my boss battles to be a Pokemon. Sometimes I want a guy who says like mean things to me and then gives me a medal afterwards. Like I do miss badges now. I think about it. Just little shiny things. And I forget what game it was, but you could polish them up. Maybe Ruby and Sapphire. Like
it's Diamond and Pearl because you do it on the touchscreen.
That's Diamond and Pearl. Oh, wow. I said I hated it, and now I've just remembered that's one of my favorite features.
Did you play Heart Gold, Soul Silver?
Yes.
I think it was also in that, so maybe you're remembering it from that one.
Yeah. Anyway, that should still be in all of the games, even though they're not touchscreen.
It is in the remake because you can do it on the Switch touchscreen.
I don't want to play it.
I mean, don't play it just for that. Definitely don't play it just for that.
I also hope the Underground comes back in another game. That would be great. I think this is going to be a series that runs alongside Pokemon, which is a lot to take on for Game Freak, and maybe means that we'll get them very slowly and there'll never be a Game Freak game outside of Pokemon ever again, which is kind of sad.
I think there are some things which this game did, which I don't think they can go back on completely. I think the next game has to take in at least that feeling that it's all in one world. And I think they will. I think because this game's done really well.
Good.
So I'm hoping that there's some elements. But like you say, I do think that they will have a little more of a linear story, more actual cities and stuff. But I think at this point, Game Freak do know how to make a game in 3D. Because Sword and Shield, the main story was basically still 2D. Like it was top-down fixed camera maps. And then there was the wild area, but it was kind of separate. And then the DLC was all the wild area engine. And then this game is a full game in that engine.
Yeah. I think, interestingly, the one concept that my brain keeps returning to is the hub. I wonder if they're going to bring that back in Pokemon games in the future. Because we literally have a hub in Legends, Jubilee Village. You have to return there. You can't not return there. Every time you're done with an area, it's like, back you go. Whereas Sword and Shield, it was more sort of like, well, this is where all the shops are. So you should probably come back here. And it's also where the wild area is. And, so you're constantly returning to the wild area and that one city that's like Birmingham that I forget the name of.
I remember all the names.
I don't know.
Moto Stoke.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good name for fake.
They
Birmingham.
were pretty good names. Dear Chester.
I feel like which one was the one in France?
X and Y.
X and Y. That was a sort of hub area. The Paris was sort of like a really good place to come back to, and it had those like that really unique circle spoke design.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, more hubs. I'm saying really just more areas that like instead of making me start in the boring village where my mum and no one else live, just give me a hub. Maybe I could grow up in a city for once. Wouldn't that be nice?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think in 3 or 4 years, whatever it is, when they get to black and white remakes, I think they'll do this again. I think we'll have a black and white remake made by a third party, and I think we'll have a cowboy Arceus game.
Yeah.
That's my dream.
Interesting. I mean, what do you think is going to be the next Legends game?
That's what I mean. The Legends game will... Oh, yeah. Why did I say Arceus? I meant Legends. Yeah, I think it'll be...
Right, yeah, okay.
Legends Kyurem, and it'll be a little more cowboy themed because it'll be in America.
Interesting. Black and White is the one I remember the least about. So...
Well, it's the game that came out on DS like a week before the 3DS came out. So
rough.
It's really good, but everyone forgets
played it. But like, I think it's maybe the most forgettable like box legendaries of all of the Pokemon games. Maybe they are the awful
ones everyone says looks like a high level Digimon. And I love Digimon, but it's not the same.
I described them the other day as just like a Pokemon made out of Greeble, which is it's just the stuff that you use to decorate like sci-fi spaceships to make it look sci-fi, and it doesn't do anything. They just look like that. They just look like someone just kept drawing shapes on top of a horse. I don't care. I don't want that.
One of my friends said it looks like they've got shuttlecocks shoved up their behinds. They kind of do.
I don't even think I could draw one from memory. Because
I've had to try for children. It's not easy.
Yeah, at least like with X and Y, they're shaped like an X and a Y. Easy peasy. One of them's a deer, one of them's a God knows what. What are the other ones? Sun and moon. One's a sun, one's a moon.
Yeah, it's like a lion and then that.
I could probably draw like most of the legendaries from memory except black and white. So sorry.
But, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think we're probably a few years off them going back to the Legends world.
Yeah.
If I had to, if I was a betting man, I would say the end of this year we'll probably get another Let's Go, like a Let's Go Johto. And I think next year we'll get the 9th generation. Johto
is gold and silver, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I get Johto and Kanto mixed up because they sound very similar and they're both 5 letters long, but they're like next to each other in gold and silver. They're basically the same region. But yeah, Johto, Let's Go, which would be Chikorita, Cyndaquil, and the Totodile.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Yeah. I'm a real Pokemon fan. Yeah, that'd be fun.
But Game Freak are actually not that easy to predict. They will probably do something really weird instead.
Yeah. Like we said earlier, they just sort of forget what worked last time and just like throw a dart at a dartboard of ideas.
Yep.
Just go with whatever. Which is good. Unpredictable. That's fun.
Yeah. Okay, do you have any closing thoughts on Pokemon Legends Arceus?
I hope Game Freak know that they've started something that they can't take back. That sounds like a threat, but it's not. I hope that they know that they can't take this step in a new direction and then step back, because now we know what Pokemon can be. And I think all they need is to this is going to be one of those things where I'm like, games are easy to make. All you do is do this. But just call up a Pokemon fan, bring them into the office, ask them what all their favorite parts of Pokemon are, and make a game with all of them. Easy. So just be like, take this from this game and this from this game and this from Legends, and you just squish it all together and you've got the perfect Pokemon game.
You don't spend much time around Pokemon fans if you think that's a good idea.
Well, I guess I mean,
know what you mean.
Just call me. And I did interview a couple of the Pokemon big guys. It was Masuda and the newer guy whose name I've forgotten.
I know who you mean, but I also can't remember his name.
Very professional of me. This was 5 years ago. And there was a big sleeping Pikachu plush on the table. So I spent the entire interview just stroking it. So I think that they know I'm a big Pokemon fan, and also they can call me anytime to give them my really good ideas about how to make Pokemon good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you would like to plug?
Me. You should follow me on the Twitter. I am at How Not to Draw on pretty much every platform except for Twitch, where I am Kate_Gray, Gray with an A. That's me.
Okay. Great. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And I will stop it there.
Okay.